One more prime. And let's see. Welcome back to Living with a Classic, and the last video of the major service on this 1992 Daimler 66, which is not my car, it's a customer's car I've been working on and done quite a bit to it so far. There are more things that will be done to it later. It's coming back here after a customer uses it for the summer a bit, but we've done the most important things right now. We've done all the fuel hoses, so every single fuel hose in the engine bay is new, injector hoses and all the small ones around that. We've done the leaking oil or cam cover gaskets. That were leaking oil, so those have been replaced, along with spark plugs, HT leads, distributor cap and rotor, and some other things along the way. So now everything is back together, and I thought we'd see if this thing fires up. If it does, I'm going to let it warm up, make sure everything is running okay, just to warm up the oil a bit to change that, and then we're pretty much almost ready to give this car back to the customer. But today, let's just see if it fires up. As you can probably tell, it looks a lot nicer than before. I'll put a picture here of what it looked like before, and this is what it looks like now. All I've done is cleaned every part I've had off. I haven't really polished anything like that. That's not something that we discussed with the customer, but I just wanted to not put oily, nasty things back on the car, and I've cleaned all the bolts and everything, so I think it looks very presentable now. It looks like a nice, honest, original car, which it is. So there are a few things I need to do before I can fire it up. I have already gone through and double checked everything. All the vacuum lines are back on. I've checked all the fuel hoses. Everything seems tight, hopefully. But there is one more thing I want to do. I've already made a video of this, so I won't go in detail. But the most important thing to tune on a Jaguar V12 are that the throttle bodies are balanced. They're supposed to be 2/1000 of an inch, which is 0.05 millimeters clearance between here inside the throttle butterflies. So I'm just going to double check that at the moment on both sides with a feeler gauge. Just make sure that that is not an issue. So I'm going to see if I can do this one-handed with you guys. So there we go. I've now stuck in the feeler gauge there, and slight bit of resistance, but not that bad. So I'm not gonna touch that. That seems fine. The most important thing is that it's the same on both sides. I might want to open it up just a tiny bit, but we'll see what the other side feels like and see if they're even. And then the same thing, and it feels pretty much the exact same on this side. So I'd say we're pretty good. Everything seems fine. I have checked the linkages. They are adjusted correctly. They're the same length, but I will check all that when it's fully warmed after a test drive, which I won't be doing today, but probably tomorrow. And then you see that everything is fine. Then I remember this thing having a little bit of a low idle when it was cold, and it was a little bit low when it was hot as well. So I've turned up the AED just a tiny bit, so we'll see what that does. Otherwise, there's only really one more thing left to do. On this side, if you can see, you have one more connector. This is the inlet air temperature. That needs to be connected in order to start it up. I'm going to start it without the air filters on, just in case something happens, like a backfire or something. Ignitions, wires in the wrong order. But I do need to connect up that. So I'll grab the air box, just lay it on the side here, connect that, connect up the battery. Let's prime the fuel system and see if we have any leaks. I'll just lay that over here so it's not going to get into the belt or anything, and connect that up. Because if you don't have the sensor connected, it's going to enrich by about 10%. It's going to run way too rich. So all the sensors should be connected now, and I think I have remembered everything, but you never know. So I'm going to start by priming the fuel system. So basically we should hear fuel go through. And okay, I've done that twice now. Just feel go through everywhere. Also use your sense of smell, but sometimes maybe you can't really smell it. But let's see, nice and dry. And let me see if I can get a hand down there. Nice and dry. Also nice and dry. Also nice and dry. I'm just going to check on the other side as well. And dry there. Dry there. I also like to smell my fingers after I have them in that space because there's a tiny bit of gas. At least you can smell it. That is dry. And then over there as well. So I think we'll prime it one more time. Crank it over and see if it fires up. I do have a fire extinguisher handy. I also have a bucket of water, just because if something small, you'd probably do less damage pouring water on here than pouring, setting off a fire extinguisher. But let's see if it fires up. If it does, probably just let it run for a little bit, turn it off, look for leaks again, and then I'm going to warm it up just because I'm going to change the oil after this video and before I go on that test drive. One more prime, and let's see. And that came into life nicely. So let's see. Let's see what the instruments say. We got oil pressure is all the way up. Let's see if I can turn this up. Idle is still a little bit on the low side, so let's see if I can adjust that up. And well, it's going up a little bit now. Let's see here. We got 6 cylinders on that side, and we got 6 strong cylinders on that side as well. That does seem to be running very nicely. I'm going to shut it down and once again use my nose, look for leaks. Got my strong light here as well. But everything seems to be pretty tight. So I'm just going to use a wrench here. Raise the idle a little bit, and then we'll let this thing warm up, and I'll just let you guys know what it sounds like in about 5 minutes or so. I'll let it warm up, but I actually didn't run it for too long because it gets a little bit too smoky in here today. It's raining outside and completely no wind at all, so even if I have all windows open and the door, I can't really be in there anymore. I don't want to smoke up the building too much. So, but it's warm enough to drop out the oil. So I'll raise it up in the air, let the oil run out overnight. And I'm going to fill it with what I always like to use on these, Castrol Classic 2050. And put on the right filter. And hopefully with all that weird noise that the customer complained about sometimes will be gone. It sounds like an oil cavitation noise. It's very odd. It's just at certain RPMs. But I've listened around the engine with a stethoscope now again. Also did that before. I can't hear anything from any bearings or anything like that. So it's listened to before. It sounds like from the oil filter housing. So hopefully it's just something there that will be a lot happier when it has probably the right viscosity in there. I don't think it has the right in it before. Alright, so an extra thing here. The oil is coming out. It's basically as thin as water. You can see here. And I mean, it's not that warm. See how thin that is? I'm not sure about the viscosity, but it's definitely not the correct in this car. But I will let you guys know in the future if that has solved the issue or not. It might be a video or it might be an update just on Facebook, or I mean, just on Instagram. Not really sure about that. Anyways, just a little bit shorter video today. Not filming too much when I road test this car. It's not my car and I want to really concentrate when I do that. But we may do sort of a wrap-up video when everything is done before this car goes off to its owner, who hopefully will enjoy a lot during the summer, and it will come back for some more things, more cosmetic things as well, and to fix, some small issues, but now the major things are fixed on the car at least. Anyways, if you like this video, please give a thumbs up, share it with your friends. If you're not already subscribed to the channel, please do subscribe to the channel. It really does help out a lot. So until next time, I'm Adam, and this was Living with a Classic. I'll see you soon.